Good evening and welcome to TVB News. A group of Democratic and Republican U.S. lawmakers have urged the State Department to bar Chief Executive John Lee from attending the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit, also known as the APEC Summit. John Lee still faces U.S. sanctions. Beijing stressed the organizer has the duty to facilitate members' participation. This year's APEC summit is set to be held in San Francisco in November this year. In February, Deputy Secretary of State Wendy Sherman said the U.S. is inclined to invite Hong Kong's Chief Executive John Lee to the U.S. for APEC. Sherman said it's important for the United States and China to work together to maintain global macroeconomic stability. Citing those comments, some U.S. lawmakers reportedly wrote to Secretary of State Antony Blinken, saying inviting a sanctioned human rights abuser is an affront to all those who have been persecuted by China. The State Department said invitations for the APEC meeting have not been finalized. The Chief Executive's office said today the CE has been leading Hong Kong in firmly fulfilling its responsibility to safeguard national security with integrity and confidence. Lee said APEC does not belong to any country or economy, and the organizer has the duty to invite members to attend. In Beijing, the Foreign Ministry responded to the development.
The U.S., as this year's host, promised to fulfill its responsibility and abide by relevant APEC rules and procedures to facilitate the participation of representatives. We believe that the U.S. will follow through on its commitment and ensure the successful participation of Hong Kong representatives.
Veteran political analyst Lau Siu-kai doubts if the Biden administration risks offending politicians as he seeks another presidential term. He added the chances are that the U.S. will grant John Lee a one-off visa.
But if that's the case, in the first place, he will meet with stiff opposition from politicians in the States. And this resistance will be bipartisan.
Lawmaker Jeffrey Lam, meanwhile, thinks the CE should attend the occasion and take this opportunity to promote Hong Kong. The city's top court has today given the green light for the Department of Justice to challenge against a lower court's decision to clear Democratic activist Chow Hang-tung of inciting people to take part in an unlawful assembly. Chow was brought to the final court of appeal via a prison van this morning. The former vice chairwoman of the Hong Kong Alliance in support of patriotic democratic movements of China is still serving her jail sentence related to another case. She was initially sentenced to 15 months in jail for inciting people to join a banned June 4th vigil. That was overturned by the High Court as the judge questioned the legality of the police action that banned the assembly. The government then filed for a legal challenge. The court allowed the appeal hearing to take place on November the 22nd. A 20-year-old student was convicted of criminal damage in relation to a series of unauthorized push notifications issued from the TVB News app. The man, surnamed Sid, sent out 5 consecutive push notifications through a website link that could access the broadcaster's notification system. In the verdict, the judge said she doesn't accept that the defendant did it out of curiosity. As the 5 push notifications didn't cause grave impact to the company or the public, the lawyer hopes the court would consider non-prison sentences. Sid has been granted bail, awaiting sentencing on June 28th. Japan's Tokyo Electric Power Company has started channeling seawater into an underwater tunnel constructed for releasing treated and diluted nuclear water into the ocean. Hong Kong authorities said once Japan discharges the wastewater, the SAR will take measures to ban the import of high-risk aquatic products from Fukushima. Mimosa Ngai reports.
A highly radioactive contaminated fish was caught in the harbor of the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant in May. The fish was found to contain a radioactive element 180 times over the standard limit of radioactive substances in Japan's food safety law. However, the operator of the plant, TEPCO, will start releasing nuclear contaminated water into the ocean and has started making the final preparation to funnel seawater into an underwater tunnel. Once the tunnel is filled up, TEPCO will dump the treated water from the plant 1 kilometer offshore. The company's decision was criticized by Hong Kong Secretary for Environment and Ecology, Jie Jingwan. Writing in the newspaper, Jie said the fish show's nuclear wastewater has a high-risk impact on food safety. The government has repeatedly expressed its concerns to the Japanese authorities. Moreover, Jie added if Japan is confident over the safety of nuclear wastewater, it should seek alternative domestic uses instead of dumping it in the sea. He added the SAR will take immediate action to ban the import of risky aquatic products along the coast of Fukushima once Japan begins to discharge contaminated water. Currently, 7% of the city's aquatic products come from Japan. This local Japanese restaurant owner said he had stopped importing food products from eastern Japan since the Fukushima nuclear accident in 2011. Nonetheless, he said he will cooperate with the government's measures on Japanese imports if required in the future. In Japan, some individuals gathered outside the headquarters of TEPCO to protest against its decision to release wastewater into the sea. They called the decision extremely irresponsible, saying the company should know how dangerous it is to release the contaminated water. A spokesperson for the Chinese embassy in Japan said the harm caused by the release of the wastewater into the sea could be immeasurable, as radioactive elements can spread across half of the Pacific Ocean region in 57 days. Mimosanai, TVB News.
Former U.S. Vice President Mike Pence has announced his bid for the Republican nomination for president by focusing on denouncing the former president, Donald Trump. Whether that will be a winning strategy is open for debate. Pence is polling at around 5%, with Trump way out in front. Matthew Bray reports.
Mike Pence, on his 64th birthday, joined a GOP presidential race already full of candidates and decided to home in on the attack on the U.S. Capitol.
As I've said many times, on that fateful day, President Trump's words were reckless. They endangered my family and everyone at the Capitol. President Trump also demanded that I choose between him and the Constitution. Now voters will be faced with the same choice. I chose the Constitution, and I always will.
A conservative Christian, he will focus much of his campaigning in Iowa. The state has a large number of evangelical voters, and Pence hopes a strong showing will give him momentum. Pence, who served as governor of Indiana and is a former congressman, still embraces many of Trump's policies while portraying himself as an even-keeled alternative. On Wednesday, he said he was proud of the Trump-Pence administration. The success of his campaign will hinge on whether he can attract enough backers of Trump's policies who are turned off by the former president to build a viable coalition. While much of the rhetoric was directed against Trump, Pence did also save some ammo for the current White House incumbent.
The crises we face, to borrow a phrase, are all man-made. And that man is Joe Biden. So the first step to turning America around is ending this disastrous presidency. So here in Iowa, we must resolve that Joe Biden will never be reelected as President of the United States.
In a telling interview with Fox News after his speech, Pence said he would absolutely support the Republican nominee, whoever it is, including Trump. Matthew Bray, TVB News.
Welcome back to TVB News. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has begun a two-day trip to the U.S. During the visit, Sunak is expected to emphasize to U.S. President Joe Biden that the U.K. remains an essential American ally in the post-Brexit era. Dan O'Rell tells us more.
Sunak began his visit by laying a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier in Arlington National Cemetery to mark US-UK military ties. Sunak later visited a technology high school in Washington as part of a visit to the US Capitol to strengthen ties. He met with students and looked at work involving technology and sustainability projects. Sunak later headed to the US Capitol for meetings with Republican House of Representatives Speaker Kevin McCarthy, as well as the Senate's Democratic and Republican leaders Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell.
Our two nations have such long history and such great combination of not just our beliefs and our freedoms, but our economics. When our bond is stronger, the world is safer and democracy grows further.
What we need to do now is figure out how do we make sure that that relationship is strong to deal with the challenges of the future.
Sunak wrapped up day one of his visit by attending a Washington Nationals baseball game. But he didn't throw out the opening pitch. US President Joe Biden is welcoming Sunak today for wide-ranging talks as the British leader makes his first White House visit as Prime Minister. The leaders' Oval Office talks are expected to cover the war in Ukraine, China, economic security, and the regulation of artificial intelligence. Dan Orell, TV News.
One of the world's most active volcanoes, Kilauea, on Hawaii's Big Island, has begun erupting after a 3-month pause. The volcano is a safe distance from people and buildings in a national park. Fissures at the base of the crater generated lava flows on the crater floor's surface. Geologists at the Hawaiian Volcano Observatory said there was no reason to think the eruption would transition into a rift eruption. As word spread of the volcano stirring, park officials were bracing for crowds to arrive to watch the lava flows from various vantage points. Locally, the Hong Kong International Dragon Boat Races is staging a comeback this month. For the first time, the organisers offer cash prizes for winners. Jackie Lin with more.
Sounds of drums and cheers set to return to the Tsim Sha Tsui East Harbourfront. After 4 years of a COVID-induced hiatus, the Hong Kong International Dragon Boat Races will kick off on June 24th. More than 160 teams of around 4,000 dragon boat athletes will take part in a 2-day event at Victoria Harbour. They include national teams from 10 overseas countries and regions, such as first-timer Poland, as well as Australia, Dubai, Malaysia, and the Philippines. In an unprecedented move, cash prizes will be offered. Champions of the 5 major races will be awarded $10,000. Hong Kong athletes said they will put their best paddle forward to help the city win the prizes.
This is my first time to represent Hong Kong team to join these races, and I hope I will try our best. We try our best to achieve the goal.
I feel really happy and exciting that I can join the race again after 4 years, because previously we got COVID. We can gather many people to join the race to have fun in Victoria Harbour. We will support the teammates and hope that we can get some medals on the race.
Due to the city's earlier quarantine restrictions, another major event, the World Dragon Boat Racing Championships, will be hosted in Thailand this year instead of Hong Kong. Secretary General of the Hong Kong China Dragon Boat Association, Arnold Chung, said they are confident the flagship race will return to the SAR in 2027. Sharing the optimism, Ding Zhang, Executive Director of the Hong Kong Tourism Board, said the city's tourism figures would gradually return to pre-pandemic levels, with more promotion devoted to art, culture, and nature-related attractions. The Hong Kong Tourism Board hopes these races could help promote the collaboration and partnership between cities in the Greater Bay Area to drive multi-destination tourism in the region. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
Good news for bus fans. From tomorrow to the 23rd of next month, 4 retired buses will be on show at the Central Harbour Front. Veronica Lin tells us more.
A creamy yellow top and lake blue body. Nicknamed Jumbo in Cantonese, these buses have returned to greet residents again. This Daimler bus behind me debuted in Hong Kong in the 1970s. The team spent more than 3 months restoring it to its original glory. A veteran technician who's been repairing buses for almost 4 decades, Tony Chen, said restoring this bus is like seeing an old friend. After 20 years of use, most of the parts have had to be replaced. He and his team put in all their effort to repair it. His 20-year-old apprentice, Wong Chi Hang, said he used techniques he's learned from Chen and applied them on the new buses. If they can't find the parts or if it's been damaged, he'll use methods such as welding and coppering. Another classic is the Leyland Atlantean Feat that was in service in the early 90s. It was the first double-decker introduced by Citybus after monopolizing 26 routes on the island side. It was in service from 1993 to 1998. Also present, the Dennis Trident. It was tailor-made for routes that traveled towards the peak. The 40 double-deckers produced by bus companies stood only 4.17 meters tall and 10.3 meters long, which made them more nimble when traversing through winding roads. The Volvo Super Olympians can also be spotted. They were introduced in the early 2000s and became the mainstay of the Chongqing-Kowloon route. Citybus also put 5 double-deckers with brand new designs on show. From tomorrow to the 18th of this month, residents can vote online for their favorite. The 2 bus designs with the most votes will then be up for consideration to become the new design of Citybus after the merger in July. Veronica Lin, TVB News.
That's the news. Thanks for watching.